there are two regions in the world at the moment that are experiencing dynamic growth, and Latin America is one and Asia is the other. And I think it was an incredibly important market. I think if you look at how Asia overall weathered the recession, it weathered it much better than any other part of the world. And I think fast forward 10 years, it'll become even more important. I mean, I think it's interesting today that businesses such as Jaguar are now owned by Tata in India, Volvo is now owned by Geely in China. And IBM sold their computer division to Lenovo. So not only is Asia growing in its own right, but it's becoming an even more important centre for global business and global brands. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think if you only got to look at companies like HSBC relocating their headquarters to Asia, I mean, I think and I think not only firstly you've got Dentsu, so you could argue that there is one who's already headed out of Asia, but I think as Asia becomes a bigger and bigger part of the world, it's inevitable that one day that will happen. It's very hard to look 10 years ahead. I mean, if you think 10 years ago Google didn't exist, 5 years ago Facebook didn't exist, 2 years ago Twitter didn't exist. So I think anybody who sits and makes predictions about where we'll be in 10 years, it's very hard. I mean, my personal view is that I think the biggest areas of growth and the most dynamism in our industry is going to come almost if you draw a triangle where you have social, mobile and location based. I think inside that is where we're going to see a huge amount of innovation, some exciting new businesses. For me, the next Google or Facebook or Twitter or Foursquare is going to come out of that. But I think the one thing that will never change is that brilliant ideas that engage people and cut through will have as much currency in 10 years as they do today. There's been a sort of big shift in the world in that when I was, like a 21-year-old grad trainee in an agency, we were learning from everybody, and we actually couldn't teach that much to the senior management. Today, that's been completely flipped on its head. And actually, the 21-year-old grad, I mean, we were leaving drinks for someone the other week, and it was the senior management of the agency who were listening, captivated to the youngest recruits into the agency. And I think that's for a couple of reasons. I think this generation of young people has had access to an unprecedented amount of information and knowledge because of the digital and social revolution, and also an incredible ability to affect positive change. And so I think they are creating the new agenda, and I think it's one that's all based around transparency, authenticity, and speed. And I think the number one thing that the next generation of leaders need to do is run their businesses in that way. For me, the way you run a business is the same as the rules of the social media game. And I think the days of image and reality being disconnected are gone. Well, actually two. I mean, my best boss is Vincent Bolloré, and it sounds like complete sycophancy because he's my current boss, but he genuinely is. I mean, the guy is brilliant. He's built an amazing business. And is a source of both inspiration and learning to me on a kind of constant basis. So and it's genuine. The other person would be Michael Bork, who was the head of Abbott Mead Vickers when I was there, and after that the CEO of BBDO in Europe. But a brilliant guy, unbelievably smart, huge integrity. So those two would be my best bosses.